For video 3 of radical expressions and functions, we're going to take some time and kind of figure out why we sometimes have to use absolute value symbols in our answer when we're taking the square root of something. So our general rule is saying if we take the square root of x squared, we need to put absolute value symbols around our answer. And this is because we don't necessarily know what the value of the variable is. On top of that, remember the square root symbol is referring to the principal square root, so it's referring to the non-negative number of the value underneath the root. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at this graphically. So I'm going to do something very similar to what we had done in past videos, and I'm going to graph each piece of this equation individually. So I'm going to go into my y equals screen, and the first thing that I'm going to do is put the square root of x squared in there, and we're going to see what it looks like if we were to graph it. So we're going to do second, and then we're going to hit our x squared key to get our square root symbol. Then we'll use our variable key, which is located in between alpha and stat. And then I'm going to go back to the x squared key, only this time I'm just going to hit it directly, and as we can see, we get the square root of x squared. Let's go ahead and see what that graph looks like first. So I'm going to hit my graph key. And it looks like it has that absolute value shape to it. And actually, let's go a little bit further and actually look at the table of values. So in order to see the table, we'll hit second, and we'll hit graph. And we can see as we scroll, I'm actually going to scroll up to include some negative values on this screen as well. Looks like no matter what my input value is, I'm always getting the positive version out. Isn't that exactly what our absolute value function does? So actually, we're going to confirm that now. Let's go to a second line. I'm just going to pick the red one. And again, to get absolute value quickly, you could do second and catalog and it's going to be there. The other way of getting the absolute value symbol is to go to math. And if you scroll over to the right to number, or num, AVS's, or absolute value, is there as well. So I can hit enter and call it up there. And then I'm going to put x in there. So watch what happens when I graph this. The red just completely paints over the blue, which means that these two functions that we're looking at are identical to each other. And again, we can confirm that by going into second and graph in order to call up the table. And again, here are the output values for your first function, the square root of x squared, and here are the values for your second function, the absolute value of x. They're identical. All of this was to justify that when you are taking the square root of a value, you want to make sure, or you want to ensure that the value that you're going to be getting is positive. So especially when you're working with a variable, or a variable that's raised to an odd power, we want to stick absolute value signs around it to guarantee that we're going to get the positive value out. All right, we are ready to move to the next video.